Good morning. I just wanted to jump on here for a minute to kind of, share my story, I guess. Because I've had so many people reach out and say, well, what were your symptoms and how did the TOS start for you? So I figured I would just make a quick little video explaining what has been going on and for how long and a little bit of what I've done to help correct things. So I would say, like most of us, my symptoms came on relatively quickly. I would say the most severe symptoms of like, this is TOS, they came on very quickly. Realistically, if I'm looking back, I've probably had symptoms all the way back from like middle school. I'm 31, so that's a long time ago. I've had chronic migraines pretty much my entire life, for at least as long as I can remember, sometimes so debilitating that I would black out or need to wear sunglasses even in my house. So they've always been pretty terrible. But fast forward, and let's see, we're in 2020, so I think it was, 2017? maybe the summer before, that the symptoms like really came on strong, and that's when I would wake up every single day and my right arm was completely numb, and it would take several minutes of like wake up and you do the thing where you panic before it would come back to life. And so it started there, and I noticed that I was getting like weird sensations in my forearm. I noticed that my forearm was even getting thinner. So that's the wasting aspect. I was getting a lot of burning muscle pain, and anytime I would even massage it, I would get bruising. So it was pretty intense there. I started to get a lot of really bad swelling, especially at my collarbone on the right side. And I can insert a clip somewhere. Of what that looks like, because sometimes at the worst it was like grotesque in my opinion, but your body's going to do what it needs to do to support itself. So that was part of the process. I would have intense burning through my arm, through my back, through my chest. Gosh, I'm trying to think. It's so typical of what you would get with TOS. Yeah. So a few things that had happened before this. Now, in my opinion, I think take it for whatever it is. Everyone has their own opinion, their own beliefs on what happens to your body. I've done a lot of research on trauma and the effects that it has both on your body and your brain. And I had a very traumatic upbringing. But then on top of that, it was just kind of one thing after another, whether it was growing up or going to college, or then my mom became really sick. And in the time that my mom was sick and battling cancer, I was in a really bad car accident that had severe whiplash. Then my mom passed away, my grandma passed away, I got a new job, we moved to a new house, we got a dog, and it was just so much within a relatively short period of time, and in addition to everything that had happened my entire life. Now that being said, everyone has their own version of what trauma is to them and how that appears within your body. So I would say all of that together, both the physical and the mental stuff that I had going on, it just finally came out. And it was like the moment that it came out was when I least expected it, because that was when life was really pretty normal and everything had settled down. And that's when the shit hit the fan, with a lack of proper language here. And the scary thing for me was that because it was my right arm, I had the additional issues of some psychological stuff going on, because through my mom's journey with having cancer, she did end up needing to have her right arm amputated because the cancer had gone to the arm. And anyways, so you can imagine the psychological connection there. It was very stressful, and I pretty much felt like everything was killing me, which was difficult to realize. And just as much as I do, there is a physical issue. You're in pain, you are hurting, and it's morning to night, it's not ending, you know, and no matter how much ibuprofen you can take or whatever other strong medicines you have gotten from your doctor, the pain doesn't go away. And yes, it is very much a physical thing, but it is also so much psychological. And I can say this years later, knowing what I've been through and where I've gotten a lot with mindset and how I've kind of helped fix a lot of what's going on. But I do recall when I first started going to the doctors, trying to figure out what the heck this was, you know, doctor after doctor would say, it's in your head, this is psychological, there's nothing wrong with you. And I was like, no, there is something wrong with me. Like, I'm physically in pain. My arm is numb. My arm is burning. I can't do things. I'm so fatigued. Some days I can't get off the couch. Like, there's something wrong. It's not just in my brain. And that was frustrating, you know, at the very beginning of this, because you know something's wrong and you have no idea what it is, and you do test after test after test, and then the doctors are like, it's in your head, like, you're fucking dumb, you know, and you're like, but no, there's truly something. And so it takes a lot of perspiring, of persistence, of moving through, and you know, you end up in 5,000 Facebook groups, and you end up on all of these different blogs and things, and a video like this, because you have no idea what's going on, because it is such a rare condition. And once you finally get the answer, it's nice, but then you're like, but now what do I do? And sometimes your doctors will, you know, right off the bat, typically you end up going to a surgeon, and of course, what's their job? They're a surgeon. They're gonna say, hey, let's take out those ribs. What? No, I don't want the ribs removed. You know, and then with that, it's your first rib typically, unless you have a cervical rib, which is a completely different story. Then I think surgery is potentially necessary. But I think if it's your first rib and you don't have, it hasn't been going on for years after years, and your body's, you know, regrown things and rerouted everything, and there's not major issues, then I think surgery right off the bat is a Band-Aid, because you've got to figure out, well, where is this stress coming from? Where is this tension coming from? And I think that was a hard pill for me to swallow, because, you know, all up along the way, I was like, what do I do? How do I do this? And then a surgeon is like, well, let me just take out your ribs and your neck muscles. So what now? You know, and I think that was the realization of, you know, I thought I had this condition. I had the right person in my life at the right time to suggest, you know, that your symptoms sound like thoracic outlet syndrome. And I'm like, what's that? Google everything. You know, and then you get the official diagnosis, and sometimes I think people are like, okay, I got the diagnosis, let's do the surgery, and it'll correct everything. And again, if you haven't done the work to take care of your physical self and to take care of your brain, then you have this really, again, traumatic surgery on your body. And again, you hope that it's a cure, but now you're still dealing with this burning sensation and this tightness, and you can't move your head and you can't move your neck, and you're saying, give me another pill. Well, that's not going to help anything. So again, I'm getting a little off topic, sorry. But once you get to that point of, at least for me, when I had that diagnosis, it was like, I don't want a surgery. I don't want to do something this invasive to my body. So that's when I was like, I kind of took everything that I was already doing and then I added to it. And I really started following people on Instagram, like a lot of physical therapists, a lot of functional movement specialists, a lot of body workers. And maybe it's just who I am, like I have the drive to want to fix myself, but there's so much amazing content available to you that take advantage of it. Like, it is free medical information, you know, as long as you are listening both to the professional and to yourself, your body. When you're doing some of these things, you can start to create this really amazing pattern of how to heal yourself, and I'm proof of that. And there's other people, like my friend Gareth, I can't even compare my TOS story to his, because his was so intense with pretty much all three versions of TOS, and he's avoided surgery by, again, going through these rehabilitative procedures and understanding the mechanics of the body. And so here I am a year and a half later from when my symptoms were at the worst, I would say, and I'm getting to the point where I have total relief and I can go days on end without even having any symptoms. And I do a lot of yoga, which you should know that at this point. I do a lot of yoga. I do a lot of just stretching, whether it's yoga or not in general. I have he kind of goes by two different titles. It's a neuromuscular skeletal doctor, also known as an osteopathic body manipulation doctor. So I have a local one that I see here that I have seen since the onset of symptoms when I had no idea what was going on. We treated it as TOS, as if that was the thing. And luckily we did, because through the work that we've done together, which is a lot of kind of myofascial release, he does a lot of just manual corrections on my body, but we work a lot in the upper body. I have other weird like hip things that happen, because I'm a runner, or I attempt to be a runner still. And so there's a bunch of stuff, but when I first started going, I would see him 2 or 3 times a week. And then it got to the point where I only had to go once a week, and then it was once every couple weeks. And now I've kind of kept it consistently, at least once every 3 to 4 weeks, just to have that regular professional manipulation done. So yoga, seeing that doctor, those are like my 2 really big ones. I also do a lot of trigger point therapy. And I don't have it with me, but I have this little ball. It's a SPOONK. That's the brand. I never say it right. But it's a ball that has little lifted bridges on it that are soft. They're not spiky or anything, that I will literally place on the wall and I will roll up and down. I actually have some little mini clips on my Instagram account. I can link that in the description below, of how I actually use that and where I use it. Pretty much my entire body. It's like my own personal masseuse in the size of like a 2-inch ball. It's really pretty fantastic. So I do that. I foam roll. I do some rehabilitative work with resistance bands. I use a medicine ball to stretch on. Again, part of that stretching. Notice stretching, it's coming up a lot. It's the key. And then I would say the 2 biggest things that have truly helped me. First is being mindful of my body positions and my habitual traits, right? When I'm walking, I make sure I'm standing a little taller. I lift my shoulders so they're not, if you can see right now, they're completely down, which means they're probably compressing something. I lift them just slightly to release that compression. Roll my shoulders back just slightly, not like over dramatic, but lift those. I make sure I press my hips forward, right? So I'm actually engaging my hip flexors and my glutes at the same time, instead of letting my low back take the hit from all of that, compression or shock as you're walking or running. And then I do a lot of chin tucks. Give me that double chin. It's not cute at all by any means. But what you're doing is you're helping to realign your cervical spine here and open up a lot of the nerves going into your head. So I can really amazingly say, from having chronic migraines on a weekly basis from middle school on, I've now had within the last 6 months, maybe 2 or 3 migraines that have lasted for a couple days. And I can typically do my stretching and take just ibuprofen, not even anything over the counter from my doctor, just ibuprofen, and have relief. So stretching, alignment, and paying attention to how I am. Am I sitting all the time? Am I sitting curled up in a couch? Which if you watch my morning routine stretching, I kind of talk about what that looks like in your body all day long and why we need to be mindful of that. And then I sit on the floor a lot and I move and I fidget, and the more, it sounds so silly, but the more you do that, the more you are starting to engage different muscles throughout the body, which means you're ultimately strengthening so much more within your body versus if I'm just sitting here slumped over on, in my couch and on the chair. And then the second thing is mindset. And I know I told you it was frustrating when a doctor said it's in your head, and so much of it is. And that's like a hard pill to swallow, because when you're in chronic pain, that's all you can think about is how much pain you're in and how nothing is helping, and how, especially with a condition like this, you feel hopeless. You feel lonely because you don't have a lot of people that understand what's going on, and you yourself, you are like, I don't know where to go from here. And that's a lot for your mentality. Like, I'm already tearing up because I'm putting myself back in that position of like what it felt like at the beginning of this. But your mindset is huge, because if you constantly are speaking poorly to yourself, whether it's out loud or in your head of, I'm in pain, I can't do this, I can't get the resources that I need, or whatever other version of that negative mindset that you have, imagine what that's doing physically through your body, because so much of what we think does transpire within our actual body. So I would say for me, I used to say my TOS, my migraine. And I don't remember who I was listening to. I listened to a lot of hippie stuff and spiritual people, and it's really amazing when you think about it though. Like, if you say my TOS, that means you're owning it. You want it here. You are defining yourself by it. Do you want to do that? I know I don't. So I made the switch to saying the TOS, even if it sounds weird in a sentence. The TOS, the migraine, you know, and just kind of rephrasing a lot of how I speak of, you know, yes, I'm in pain, but is that the only thing going on? Is every single inch on my body in pain? No, guess what? My index finger feels pretty dang good. My nose, it feels nice. My hair, yeah, it feels soft, right? And so I know it sounds so silly, but the more you start to focus on the good things in your body, and it takes a lot of mental control to take your mind off of this and burning and pain, but to focus on something that feels good, and to focus on your breath, and to focus on your words. And the more you do that over and over and over, you find that you slowly start to get out of pain, whether it is in your brain believing you're in pain or in your body actually feeling it. And again, it takes a long time, you know, to get through that. Because again, I'm 31 years of not knowing how to properly manage my body and my brain, because no one's ever really taught me. Even in school, we go through health class, we go through PE, and they're like, do this, do this, do this. But are they actually teaching you what's really good for your body mechanics and how to avoid stuff like this? Not really, you know, unless you go into the medical field and specifically go into biomechanics. Like, we don't really know, and it's far and few between that we're going to have an opportunity to connect with the professionals that do. I mean, thankfully we have technology now, which can really provide us with a lot of information if you know how to look for it, if you know how to search for those people, and if you can truly believe that the content they're giving you is truthful. Because how many people are on the internet that are not actually professionals? So it takes a lot of background work of like, yeah, let me just actually check out who this Aaron Alexander dude is, you know, like what are his credentials and so on. He's a person that I watch, by the way. Same with Doc Jen Fit and Dr. Katie Claire. Those are like three of my go-to people, because they are just, they give you a wealth of knowledge on how to correct things like this. And again, you find what you can do, and you monitor, and you say, I can do this. Not, I can't do this because I'm in pain. It's, I can do this. I will do one thing a day. I will acknowledge what works, right? And then you start to build that mentality of, I am in control of my body, and I am in control of relieving this pain. And again, I know this sounds like so hippie, so out there, but a lot of it comes from our head of what are we willing to accept within the body, and what are we willing to actually work for.